Hi friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. It is time for a mid-month wrap-up because I have been a reading machine so far this month. I have completed 12 books so far in the month of March, and I have 2 DNFs on top of that. So 14 altogether that I have read. 2 of them are adult and all the rest are middle grade. So we're just going to jump right in. But first of all, I'm going to say that 4 books I'm not talking about in this video because I am doing a Newbery vlog and I have completed 4 Newbery books already. I'm aiming for 6 in that video, but I'm not going to talk about these quite yet because I'm going to talk about them later. So stay tuned for which Newbery books I've been reading this month so far. And then I will talk about my adult books first, just to kind of get them out of the way, and then we can focus on the middle grades. One of my DNFs was one of my NetGalley reads and one of my Flip and Roll TBR books. It was The Nanny's Handbook for Magic and Managing Difficult Dukes. Honestly, I don't remember the author right now, and I don't have my computer in here, so I don't remember the author, but there's a picture of it. I got about 60% through this one. So I will write a review on NetGalley. I'm not going to rate it on Goodreads. I'm just going to mark it as DNF. I just didn't care. We're following this nanny who does have magical abilities. She's got this handbook that she has to follow to the T, gets herself a job with this Duke and his wards. He hires her as their nanny, but of course sparks fly between the two of them because it is a romance as well. It was cozy and quiet, but I was bored, and then it got steamy and I just wasn't prepared for that. And I didn't believe the chemistry between the two of them. It didn't make me feel anything. I didn't have butterflies. I didn't enjoy the banter between the two of them. I just didn't care. So that is a DNF for me, unfortunately. But the other adult books I read and finished, I did really enjoy. The first one was a thriller, I See You by Claire McIntosh. In this one, we follow this woman who one day sees her picture in the classified ads and doesn't know how it got there and why it got there. And that kind of sparks this journey of trying to figure out, because there are other women's pictures there too. And then there are these crimes that are happening against women, and she gets very involved with trying to solve the crimes. It was a little bit creepy, like the right amount of creepy for me. Just imagining if something like this were to happen. It's been a while since I've read a thriller, but I did enjoy this one. And maybe that's because it's been a while. I enjoyed having suspicions about people along the way and being wrong about them. And so it was a surprise as the end was wrapping up and we were finding out who did what. So I liked that aspect of it. Thriller's still not my favorite genre, but it was fun. It was fast paced. I was invested. I needed to know what was going on. So I enjoyed that one. And the other adult book that I read was The Poppy Fields by Nikki Ehrlich. And I had heard mixed things about this one, but I was still very curious what I was going to think about it. Thankfully, one of you in the comments told me that this is more of a road trip story than it is about the poppy fields themselves. So in this book, we learn about these poppy fields where people who have experienced some kind of loss or grief can go and sleep for about a month or 2. And when they wake up, they will not carry that same kind of grief and that emotion. So we follow these 3 people who meet in a Kansas airport after flights have all been grounded because of weather, and they decide to rent a car together to head to the poppy fields, which they don't realize at first that's where they're all headed. But as they travel, they figure out they're all headed to the same place and why. We learn a little bit of their stories, and it's really about the relationship of these 3 people, but more about each of their individual relationships with grief and loss and what had happened to them and why it's bringing them to the poppy fields. And I think in a similar vein to The Measure, I feel like this would make a really good book club book because it just gives you so much to think about and talk about. I said this in my vlog as well, as far as wanting to erase grief. But really, that's not the reality of life. Like when you're in the midst of grief, you don't want to have to be feeling those feelings. And how everybody works through grief is individual. It's different. There's no one right answer, one right way to process grief. So it's just interesting to think about each of these 3 people and the decisions that they're making and the people who are in the poppy fields sleeping and what the choices they have made and how do we move through grief and process it and work through it. Is it better to do it with people in community and people who love you? Obviously that's kind of what I think, but yeah, so it was really good. And I could see this sparking a lot of really good discussion as well. I enjoyed this one. Pleasantly surprised to say that I enjoyed it. And now I have 6 more middle grade books to talk about, but real quick first, I've decided I'm not going to read The Many Assassinations of Samir, the Teller of Dreams by Daniel Nayeri. I started this multiple times and just wasn't getting into it, was very confused about what was going on, kept zoning out, was bored, didn't get very far any of the times that I tried. And then I listened to Becca from Becca Books and Bujo. One of her recent vlogs, she talks about this book and she didn't like it and she finished the whole thing. So I was like, you know what? I don't want that experience. So I'm just going to unhaul it. It's a gorgeous book. I love the cover of it, but she just said it's strange and she just didn't care for it. I wish that I was into it more. I don't know. I just feel like maybe now is not the time. I love the pictures though. So I don't know if this is a DNF. It is a DNF for right now, but is it a not right now? Like maybe I'll try again another time. I don't know. I haven't decided that yet. If you've read this and you think, don't bother, let me know that in the comments. Or if you've read it and think, oh my word, I loved that book, let me know that in the comments too. That will help me decide about that one. I read my Patreon pick for this month, which was The Apothecary by Mally Malloy. This was really cool because it was kind of a historical fantasy. We're in 1952 in London, so just after World War II. And we follow these kids. One of them is the apothecary's son, not very interested in following in his dad's footsteps. But one day something happens to his dad. They go to the apothecary shop and they have to take care of this book, the Pharmacopoeia, this book that has, it's written mostly in Latin and turns out has some kind of magical inclinations to it. So we follow these kids and their journey to figure out what happened to the apothecary and this group that the apothecary is part of that they learn about. There's just a lot of, it's this adventure, this quest. There's magic. These kids at one point turn into birds and are able to fly. There are other potions and spells that happen throughout this book and this mystery of what happened to the dad and the kids that get involved trying to solve the mystery, but also get involved with this big adventure drama. I enjoyed it. It is the start of a series. I do not think that I will continue the series, but I did really enjoy this first one. I had a kind of bummer start to the month by reading The True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle. I think I talked about this in a vlog as well. This is by Avi. Many people loved this when they were kids, and I might have loved it when I was a kid too, but it definitely takes place all on a ship. The girl is 13. She's not treated like she's 13 on the ship. She's treated like she's much older and experiences things like she's much older. And I just was bored. It did get interesting at a couple points, but overall, I just really didn't care for this. But I'm glad that I read it because I was always wondering. People kept saying, this is so good, but I didn't love it. I did finish this series, the Track series by Jason Reynolds, by reading Coach, which is the newest release. It tells us the backstory of Coach, who is in the other 4 books in this series as the kids' coach on a track team. And we learn his history, his story. And I enjoyed this. I think I would have enjoyed it more had I read it right after reading the other 4, but it's been so long, like a year, so long. But it's been a year or so since I read the other 4 and am not kind of invested in their story at the moment. I believe I binged through that series pretty quickly. So I wasn't as connected to the Coach character as an adult. So reading his story as a kid was okay, was good. It was an interesting story, but I just definitely didn't love this one as much as I love the rest of the series. But I would say if you're reading through the Track series, which starts with Ghost and then Patina, Sunny, and Lou, and then Coach is their coach. So I would recommend it. It's a series finisher though. I'm glad that I finished a series. And that is another book that I read. Another book that I read that is part of a series is The Keeper of Lost Cities. This is part 2 of the graphic novel duology that covers book 1. It was fun to revisit the story, to go back to the beginning with Sophie, Fitz, Keith, Bianca, Bianna, all of these Dex, all of these characters that I know and love from the series. It was fun to go back to the beginning, kind of remember how it all started. I'm very eager to read book 10, which is hopefully coming out later this year. But yeah, this was fine. It was good. And it really needs to go back to the library. Then I did start another series, Aggie Morton, Mystery Queen. This is The Body Under the Piano, and definitely has Agatha Christie vibes. Her friend that she meets in here is named Hector Parrot, which is very, very close to Hercule Poirot. So it was kind of fun, all the nods to Agatha Christie. I'm not super familiar with Agatha Christie, so I'm sure there are even more nods in here that I didn't pick up on. But in this book, Aggie discovers a body under the piano at her dance class. She's the first one into the room and discovers this body. Everyone else is kept out into the hallway. And she is an amateur sleuth trying to discover things. It was just a really fun middle grade mystery. This is the start of a series, I believe, as well. But I think in a similar vein to Agatha Christie's books, you can read them in any order, I'm thinking. But I don't know, because I haven't only read book 1. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was fun to read a mystery in the mix of all these other things. And then finally, last weekend, I just kind of in one day read Where the Heart Should Be by Sarah Crossan. This is a historical fiction told in verse about the famine in Ireland in 1846. And we follow Nell, who has a job as a scullery maid in the big house. And it's the only thing, her money that she's able to bring home is the only thing keeping her family alive because of this famine. They're potato farmers. There's a blight on the potatoes. They're rotten. They don't grow right. And many people around them have left or moved away. Others are dying. The big house, like the family that's in charge, she becomes friends with the nephew of the family who is set to inherit the land. And so everyone's kind of mad at her for befriending him even because he's part of the problem. But because she works there, she's sometimes given food to bring home. She's sometimes her money that she's given for her job helps pay for things. It just was really interesting to read about Ireland during this time, during this famine, and the kind of class struggles and like the differences between the classes, the family dynamics. And it was heart-wrenching and beautifully told. I love a book in verse, and I'm really, really glad that I read it. It was so good. Perfect for March. Today, it's the 17th, and it's St. Patrick's Day, so I love that just a couple days ago, I read a book set in Ireland by an Irish author. Kind of fabulous. So there you have it. These, plus 4 more Newbery books, are all the books that I have completed so far this month. I actually have finished 2 more. We'll save those for the next video. This is enough to talk about. I would love to hear your thoughts and comments, and how is March reading going for you? What is 1 or 2 of the books that you've read so far this month that you've really loved? Have you read any of the same ones that I did and think the same or differently about them? I would love to chat with you in the comments about all of these things. And because today is St. Patrick's Day, if you are not feeling chatty, go ahead and put a shamrock or a clover or a pot of gold or a rainbow in the comments down below just to let me know that you were here. I love seeing who's here down in the comments and taking some of their time today to hang out with me. And if you are interested in some of our new merch, this is one of our new designs that we have this year, this university print kind of shirt for middle grade March. It does say established 2018 because that's the first year that we did middle grade March, which is super cool. I love it. The link to our Etsy shop, which is still open for 2 more weeks, the shop will be linked down in the description below. So thank you so much for watching. Again, spending some of your time with me today. I really appreciate you all for being here and being a part of this little corner of the internet. And I look forward to chatting with you in another video very soon. Bye.